And I am happy to get a new topic that I have never treated, according to the call for the papers. So I have thought about the civic education like an entity to be just related to the topic of textbook with syllabus design. So my title is Civic Education in Algerian English Textbooks, a means of shaping mighty citizens. Exploration of civic education invariably start with explorations of the related terms of citizenship and civil society. Those engaged in civic education have a vision of empowered citizens voluntarily organizing themselves for self-reliance and political impact in societies where representatives produce peace, prosperity, and personal liberation. Before starting to engage ourselves in this topic, we have, to clarify this concept. The definition of civic education can be broadly explained by it is all the processes that affect people's belief, commitments, capabilities, and actions as members or prospective members of the community. So the key words that we can get from this as an amalgamation, it is the beliefs that we have to get it as humans through the concept of our world that we are growing in. The commitment is equated with the engagement. We have always an engagement and duties to fulfill. Capabilities, to what degree are we able to perform a task? And the action mustn't be just kept as a thought, as an abstract, but we have to concretize it as an action. The issues also that they have to raise are purely empirical. To start embarking on this issue, we have to think these questions in order to be answered. Who has the full rights and obligations of a citizen? What responsibilities does a citizen of each kind of community have? Who may decide what constitutes good citizenship? And what means of civic education are ethically appropriate? From this fan of questions, we want to focus on the key concept, which is good citizen. Always we have to give orders. We have always to inculcate to people who are younger than us to be a good citizen, to be a good citizen. What means this? Repeatedly, this concept doesn't rhyme with anything. We have to just split or to peer at this concept in order to understand it. The purpose of focusing on civic education lets us and paves the way that we are going to train good citizens that are aware of the human and political issues in their society or nations. So the direction that we have to give it is more with the society, and it has to go beyond the society that he lives in, but even for the nation where he belongs to. It evokes the rights and the duties of the citizenship. So always we are claiming for our rights, but we have also to start with the duties before thinking about the right. It teaches the sense of individual and community responsibilities. What we have to do, always being an individual, we have to serve our community in order to fulfill our task. It fights all forms of discrimination that might comprise racism, as gender-based discrimination, religious issues, and etc. It means the acceptance of the other has to be always present in our mind as a citizen. It initiates the responsibility of the individual and the citizen in the international community. One mustn't narrow himself like an individual in his own community. He has to go beyond his nation, that is to say, embracing an international community and to submit to all the norms that are universally recognized. There are several good reasons for the emphasis on civic education in schools. Let's take Algeria like our field of experience and start initiating this through schools, because we cannot deny that the first social setting that starts implicitly to talk and to evoke about civic education is the school, is the family. But the school is going to be a reinforcement and an academic just apprenticeship. Civic habits and values are relatively easily to influence and change while people are still young. So, in fact, civic education might be acquainted to young, people from their, early stage, like teenagers, more precisely because they have acquired a certain maturity. So we have to introduce this to our pupils. Schools are also is an environment in many countries that have an explicit mission to educate students for citizenship. We have to declare it, that explicitly we have to transmit the knowledge in an educational and in a formal environment to what civic education is requiring from the learners. So this is according to Amy Goodman, 1987. Let me. Good. The theoretical frame that is based on that, researchers have worked on. Many studies and program evaluation have found substantial effects, and most social scientists who study the topic now believe that educational practices such as discussions of controversial issues, hands-on action, and reflection can influence students. Because we are interested in EFL classes and in terminal, pupils are quite informed about the language as well as about some civic information that teachers can, according to the syllabus design and to the files that are present in their target textbook, to insert this parameter in order to get a debate, because none of the students are going to share one same issue, and they are going to have divergent positions, and these divergences can be politely and scientifically and objectively discussed. Civic education and learners. First of all, we have to work on his beliefs. So syllabus designers have to think about who is the Algerian learner in order to make out a file according to a realistic environment. Our syllabus designs mustn't have an utopic belief that our Algerian pupil is knowing or is mastering the word. No, the steps has to start with the Algerian beliefs. What can our Algerian pupil do? We have to determine the capabilities. What are all his full engagement towards the society? And also, if he has to get and to share the responsibilities according to the acceptance of the rights and never to refuse them. All of these would lead him to develop a critical reflection that is highly tied with his citizenship for the future. I mean, vocational word, or like just a citizen. Because we are talking about the textbooks, so here we are going to target the ensuing Algerian English textbooks in the high school. We did not mention the middle school because we suppose that at that time our learner did not acquire a certain maturity of developing all the concepts, because in the file we have to get just a text. and the text has to be liable. Has it to be presented as a simplified or as an authentic? We are going to take as example 3rd grade in Terminal. So, syllabus designers are going to direct their inspiration, first of all, to the linguistic level. By the linguistic level, we are going to say here that the learners have already acquired a linguistic background that is considered as being well sufficient to serve as a sound basis for the newly inserted textbook inputs. And here we refer to the lexical items, to the structures, how they have to oscillate between active, passive voice, how they have, to go forward and backward to the notions, for the collocations, because every concept in civic education has to get a verb and what is the noun or what is the adjective that comes after. The second issue is a non-linguistic one. Here, it is going to be narrowed to the knowledge of the word. The learner's schemata are fairly consolidated to ground the novel concepts highly tied with the introduced topic, that is civic education, and the material selected for the making out of a file or of a unit. The syllabus designers within civic education. It is not a matter only to be only selective with the material. It is not only a matter of saying that the concepts are going to be grasped, explained, debated by the teachers. What we want, the textbook must have a soul just by dint of the use of the teacher. And here the question that mustn't remain just rhetorical, but we have also to work, because making out a textbook can require colossal endeavors, but leaving the matter as being without a soul may deviate what syllabus designers have meant it. What I mean here, I have summarized it with a question. Does a high school civics course have effects on various kinds of learners? And this will also pave the way to another discussion to what would make it more effective. That is to say, the progress and the continuity. Civic education has a new meaning for learners who face many subjects that are related to life in the local community. They require a greater degree of knowledge and understanding of processes of decision-making. The main purpose in learning civic education is connecting the knowledge and understanding with a number of skills in problem-solving, decision-making, and forming attitudes. Civic education must provide an approach in enabling young people to actively participate in creating a healthy and meaningful